Hey there. Thank you so much for joining the No Grow Scale podcast. As you probably know, I'm Laura Johns, founder and CEO of The Business Growers, a company who helps managed services providers grow and scale with marketing that gives them a proven return on investment. Kameron Olsen, my new friend, met him in Dallas at the AT&T Partner Exchange meeting, and I'm so excited really to hear how the Channel Advisors helps so many organizations. If you don't mind, just dig into just a little bit about who you are and a little background on the Channel Advisor so folks know who you are before we get started.
Sure. Cameron Olsen. I founded the Channel Advisors back in March of 2023. And we are a consulting firm that helps SaaS and telecom suppliers who want to go to market through the telco or the TSD channel. So, provide all the tools, resources, personnel, best practices, anything you need to build out a channel program. We help those people who want to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm sure when you were born and started thinking about what you wanted to do when you grow up, this was exactly what you thought. So can you tell me just a little bit about your path to starting the Channel Advisors and your background in regards to that?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was born and when I was little, I wanted to be a monkey trainer. So this
Ah,
may
perfect.
be
So it's
may
basically
be
the same
close.
thing, right?
So yeah, this is my second startup.
Okay.
I got into the telco channel in 2006. Before that, the one thing I actually didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. The only thing I knew I ever wanted to be was a dad. So I immediately wanted kids. And my wife and I got married. I was 21, she was 18, and we almost had kids immediately. She told me, "Hey, wait, like let me finish hair school first before
Yeah.
before we do this." I'm like, "Okay." So the day that she was supposed to do her final exam, our oldest was born, and
Oh,
so we
nice.
got started fairly early. But it hit me. I was making $10 an hour. She was making 8.75, and we were so young and dumb. We were thinking, "Hey, let's have some kids. This will be a great idea." It didn't start hitting me until my wife came to me and said, "Hey, when we have this kid, I want to stay home and raise it." And I was like, "Oh crap, that
Mhm.
means I got to provide." And so I immediately took a sales job. Like that was the thing that I thought, "Hey, this is where I can make the most money." And I was terrible at it. Like, I was so bad. We were hardly making any money. We were on government assisted programs. I was not knowing what to do. And it wasn't until I joined my first telco opportunity where the owner of that company took me under his wing and really taught me how to sell. It took me years, but all he said was, "Look, Cameron, you go knock on doors, you say these things, find the opportunities, and I'll help you do the rest." And I sat under his wing for 2 years and he taught me how to sell. That was the gentleman that we got together and built my UCAS company called the YipTel. But what was amazing to me is after the 2 years, we started hiring sales staff. And I
Mhm.
didn't want to wait 2 years to get these people up and running. I needed success immediately. So we went and hired a consultant, a sales consultant, to come in and teach us how to do it. And what was mind blowing to me is these consultants came in and showed us a methodology that was exactly what Robert was teaching me to do, but it was in an easy to understand consumable
Ah,
format. And it didn't take people 2 years to figure out how to sell.
ah, ah.
So we built that company, we sold it off. I built that company through a channel. We worked through Teleris and a few other TSDs. And then I went and worked for Teleris for 3 years. It was very interesting when I first joined them, as I talked to suppliers, understanding that they had frustrations that we kind of had figured out and build processes around it.
Mm.
And everybody was struggling with the same thing. They didn't know how to find revenue in the channel. They didn't know the words and the language and how to become seen and the process of talking to partners and best practices. And so March of last year, I was ready to go do my own thing again. And I said, I want to help the supplier community. I want to go give back to a community that I feel like A lot of them are struggling. A lot of the channel managers are going from job to job, chasing quotas, chasing ramps. I want to give them the life that Robert gave me through somebody who could teach them how to sell, give them structure, give them process. And
Mm.
so that's how the channel advisors were
Well, I was
born.
going to ask you earlier what your kind of passion and purpose was behind starting the channel advisors, but it sounds like to be able to enable, some of these folks within the channel, like you were given opportunities in the same way. That's what it sounds like is driving you every day. Would you say that's the case, or anything else, particularly
Yeah,
up in the
I
morning?
think I think the thing that drives me is try to give back and give as much as possible to the greatest number of people that I know how. And I think the way to do that is through processes, creating systems and creating processes and teaching people how to do it.
Right, right. That's awesome. And it truly is a gift that keeps on giving when you're able to do that. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
What about challenges? So what challenges do you see day in and day out throughout your career, but specifically, with the channel advisors? What are you seeing that you're able to help with?
Yeah, I think my biggest challenge is just time. There's only
Yeah.
there's only so many hours in a day and
But
days in the week
in
and
terms of what challenges the people that
we
you're
face.
having, or the people that you're helping face, maybe that's perhaps a better question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Uh, My mentor Robert taught me when I ever had a problem or I ever had a challenge, I went to him. He would see it on my face that I was coming to him with an issue. And
Yeah.
he would stop me and he would say, Cameron, stop for a second. I want to know if I want this question answered. Is the problem because we don't have a process? Because the process wasn't followed? Or is the process broken? Right? It's really easy.
People
Which
are process, right? People are process.
Yeah, yeah. So which one is it? And
Right.
I would say, okay, and I would just walk out the door, right?
You know the answer.
Yeah, it was easy, right? And
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we blame everybody else for the problem, and it creates a terrible culture within an organization to feel like, hey, I'm never good enough. I'm always messing up. But this
Right.
actually gives a great culture to people that allows them to go figure out what the problem is and take ownership of the issue and add to the resolution. They can say, hey, I didn't follow the process. This is why, hey, I could really use some education. Or, hey, this process is broken because we didn't account for this certain thing. Let me help fix it. We'll build it
Right.
better. Or, hey,
Right.
there's just no process. Let's go build it together. I think the biggest problem I see is there's just not enough people following the process. They don't understand the cause and effects of certain things they do, and
Mhm.
they don't have something to follow. So one of the biggest problems we have in the telecom industry is we don't have enough data. We are spending money into MDF programs. We are giving money to do events. We're giving money to find partners or generate activities with partners. And then we go back and we sit down and we wait for the partners to call us. And that used to work 10 years ago when there was 50 people, 50 suppliers in the channel. It just doesn't work. It's too crowded.
Mhm.
And so we're going to fix it by giving the suppliers in the community the process. We're giving them the structure and a CRM to track those partners that they connect with through a process and make the experience for everybody much better. Let's ask really good questions. Let's understand where the partners want to go, and let's create a go to sales and go to market strategy with them and just do it in a repeatable fashion that we have the data where we know things are going wrong.
Right. That's good. So if you are, we're not going to ask for free consulting here, but
Hey,
if
if I could give my value in a 15-minute podcast, I wouldn't hire me
you,
anyway. So
yeah,
I'm
you did.
happy to
That's
give
right. That's right.
everything
Okay.
for free.
So let's just say you're in doing a discovery call or a first, session with someone who's really trying to position themselves for success in the channel. What would be, if you're like, I know that the reality is there's no one secret thing, but if you had to boil it down, or if kind of recall some of the conversations you've had in the past, how would you recommend someone? I know you're probably going to say follow the process, go back to the process you're implemented, but is there any like first piece of advice because it is crowded and you do have to really position yourself for success. And maybe it's a mindset thing. I don't know, but what would you say?
When we go first consult or sit down with suppliers, there's kind of two tracks. One is your processes. What does your structure look like? Tell me about your channel program. Who are you going after? What does it look like? How are you managing it? Let me see the data to see where the fallout is. And I'll tell you 99.9% of the time, they can give me the revenue numbers, they can give me the number of employees they have, but that's about the tip of the that's about all they can give me. So it's very easy to say, okay, let's finish that out. Let's put your CRM together. Let's put your rules of engagement together. Let's make sure your territories. Let's look at your comp plans, right? Let's look at the sales operational piece of your channel.
Right.
But equally, the other important thing is to look at the product side. I think a lot of organizations look at the channel and say, hey, we sell a lot of this product in our product set. So
Mhm.
this is what we're going to go to market. This is how we're going to sell it. This is what it's going to look like. The
Mhm.
problem is if you sell direct that product, that's great. You're not competing with the same people.
Mhm.
When you go to the channel, you also got to recognize the suppliers in the channel and the navigate that space a little bit. So let's take cybersecurity for example. Let's say that you are a MDR provider, but you also do a few other things really well. But hey, we're going to push that we're an MDR provider. There's already a lot of MDR providers. What makes you unique and different? Why would they use you over somebody else?
Right.
So I think partners boil down to four different types. If you categorize them and you put them in a persona, there's four types. Number one, do they have experience in selling your
Mhm.
product set, product vertical? So if you sell cybersecurity, you ask them, do they sell cybersecurity? If the answer is yes, then you say, who do you sell? And then you have to know your differentiators and how to
Right.
play in those lanes and where to go find more revenue based on what suppliers they're working with because you're displacing some of those. You're either displacing them or you have to help them find different streams in that particular
Right.
product set. There's plenty of partners out there that have never sold cybersecurity. They just don't know
Right.
how to recognize the opportunity, they don't know the pain
Right.
points. And so your job as a supplier is finding those partners and putting them through a training program, just 101 of cybersecurity. What is it? Let me give you the holistic view. So when you sit down with somebody and say, hey, do you have cybersecurity? And their answer is, yeah, we have a firewall.
Mhm.
You know the next steps. You know a firewall isn't good enough, but you know the next conversations to be able to like find the opportunity. There's
Mhm.
plenty of people who just get into this industry, are brand new, don't have any customers, don't know how to sell. So just teaching them basic sales skills of your product set, your vertical is important. And
Yeah.
then last is the one that just doesn't have any interest. They sell contact center and have no desire to sell cybersecurity. But you know what? They sell cybersecurity every once in a while because they trip over the opportunity. You just got to keep an open line of communication with them.
Yeah. A couple of those challenges that you were just mentioning could be fixed with a really good marketing partner. Just
Yes, 100%.
figuring out how to position yourself when you're selling something. That's just what I heard, but I could be wrong. I
Yeah,
love
what's great about what you're doing, and I think the real space is everybody knows in the channel it's super crowded, right?
Yeah.
There's 5 to 600 suppliers currently,
Yeah.
and we know just due to the demand that's coming in and the other technologies that want in the channel that that's going to double and triple in the next couple of years. So
Right.
if you feel like it's crowded today, it's even going to get more
Just
crowded.
wait. Yeah.
There's 110 UCaaS suppliers in some of these TSD portfolios. And
Right.
so having somebody that knows how to message the right way is critical in a
Yeah.
channel program.
I wasn't really asking for you to, but I did.
Commercial.
Yeah. I love it. Well, okay, so tell me like what if somebody is listening to this and they're like, "Hey, I really do need someone, like Cameron to come alongside me." What does partnering with the channel advisors look like? What does that relationship look like? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. We charge a monthly retainer. It really comes down to how much resources you need.
Yeah.
Do you need a full-time channel chief, right?
Yeah.
We do that fractionally. If you have a project or two, maybe you just need help setting up your CRM to get the
Yeah.
data you need. So we charge a monthly retainer, and then based on the product, sometimes we charge a residual based on the increase. So we're
Yeah.
going to put skin in the game too. We're going to
Sure.
charge you
Yeah.
a smaller retainer, and ask you to. We're going to stand by and
That's
take a
good though.
commission.
That
Yeah,
yeah, that's a testimony of believing what you're selling, which is awesome.
yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, do you have kind of a success story you'd like to share? Any short story that over the last was it how long has it been? Year or so
Year
that
and a half.
so in that time frame, what do you look back on and say, hey, this was a success and this is what others can expect to see?
Yeah, we got hired by a cybersecurity company who has been trying to get into a TSD portfolio for a while. They had a couple stabs at it. They kept saying, no, no, we got you. We don't need your product. They came to me and kind of got my opinion. And what was amazing is you spent enough time, you really saw what made them different.
Yeah.
They were in the MDR space. And what is important in the MDR space is to be really flexible, right? MDR take in all the logs from cybersecurity, and a lot of those people are rigid. Hey, we only ingest logs from these types of products. And these people were programmers, developers that say, hey, we'll do everything. We helped them adjust their message. We helped them identify what made them different and how they could compete with the other MDR providers in the space. And going back to that TSD, we told a different story. And yeah, it was accepted. They were excited to get them into their portfolio. And it was just understanding the landscape, the suppliers in it, what the TSDs are looking for, what the partners want, and how to make it easier to sell. And just a little bit of that insight can go a long ways and make a huge
Yeah.
difference.
That's great. A lot of impact and probably in a short period of time because of the knowledge that you and your team have. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So I know that if someone is interested in learning more about you, they can go to thechanneladvisors.com. But
that's
how would
correct.
they get in touch with you, Cameron?
You can call me on my cell phone, 469-955-4565. Send me
There
an
you
email,
go.
Cameron at the Channel Advisors. Go to LinkedIn and just scroll a little bit. I'm
There
sure
you
you'll
go.
see some
There
of
you
our
go.
content. We're all over
You're the
the
first
place.
person that's ever given a phone number on a podcast. So kudos to you. That means he's the real deal right here.
I'm here. Yeah, I love look, my whole sales process is voice first communication. We
Yeah.
are missing out on conversations, and that's the
Yeah.
only way to build relationships these days.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining. For those of you listening, if you are interested, please check Cameron out, what he's doing at the Channel Advisors. Also, if you want to talk about marketing, you can certainly hit me up at thebusinessgrowers.com. Thank you for listening to the No Grow Scale podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in hearing more from my awesome podcast guest. Thanks so much.